Hello everyone. Today going to be doing a little bit of a demonstration about how to look after your plug plants and pot them on, and what we need to be thinking about in the next weeks and into the end of next month, so end of May. Okay, so I've got some trays here. Your plugs. So here we've got all different sizes of plug trays. This is the smallest. The individual cells are really small. My pinky just fits in there. Then there's a slightly larger. I could probably get my thumb in there, so that's a little bit bigger. And then this one, I could get a few fingers in there, so that's bigger again. The plugs that you have may be this size, they may be this size. They come in all sorts of sizes. So the first stage, when we've got a plug, is it's probably going to be root bound inside its cell. So I've got some over here that I'm just going to show you. So when you're removing a plug, you want to have your finger on the bottom and just pushing it up slightly, and then you grab the leaves of the plant. Don't grab the whole stem, you grab the leaf, okay? So now I've got one of these plugs. If we look at this plug, this is a really nice healthy plug. Nice healthy leaves. You can see the roots have filled up all of the cell. So at this stage, this plug is ready to be transferred into a bigger container. So in this case, I'm going to be putting it into one of these. If the plugs are this size, they could equally go into a small pot like this. So in terms of planting one, all you need to do is fill up this pot. Make sure the compost is nice and loose. You don't want big lumps like that. You just break them all up with your fingertips first. Put some gloves on. And then you can tap it lightly like that. Okay, so I've not filled it right to the top. And then I'm just going to use my finger and make a wee hole. Like that. You see the hole? And then the plug really just sits in. And then we grab the leaves like that with our hand, nice and gentle, and we fill around the edges. And just really gently pressing it in like this. And that's it, potted on. So I would do this with all of these now. And then it's really important that we water them. So once they're all in the tray, we water them from underneath. So this is a tray with holes in the bottom, goes in there, and then it goes into our water. And that water gets sucked up into the pot. If you water a really delicate plug from above with a watering can, it can get all broken and it's too much for it. It's just a really small plant. You don't want to water it from above with a big watering can. So before I took this plug out of its tray, I made sure that this tray, the tray of plugs, was well watered. So I sat it in there for a little while, and that makes it easier to get the plug out of the cell. If the compost is really dry, it can all crumble and make it a bit more difficult. So I'm going to do all of these. Once you've got your plants in these little pots, you just need to leave them. Make sure you don't let them dry out, and they're going to take a few weeks, at least 3 or 4 weeks, until they've filled up this pot nicely with the roots. And then at that stage, we're going to be towards the end of May, and the risk of the frosts outside are going to come way, way down, and then we can be thinking about planting these into hanging baskets and pots. So your little plug plants, once they've been potted on, you want to keep them nice and tidy. So on a nice tray, or maybe on a little rug or in a box, and you need to make sure they're next to a window. So you need to keep them inside, either on the windowsill, or if they're in the school, then on the floor next to some big windows, or on the windowsill. So they need light, they need water, and you need to make sure they don't get too cold. So don't put them outside. If they go outside, there's still going to be frosts, and that can kill the plant. We need to make sure we don't put them outside until the risk of the frosts at night time have passed. Last little thing I'll say, different plants are different sizes. So some plants tend to be quite small and dainty. When you're transplanting them, you want to put them into the next size up. So if I had this size plug, I would put them into a small one first, and then they would come out of here and into a small pot. With some plants, like these ones here, so these are plugs, you can see they're much bigger than those ones. And really, if I was to take one of these plugs out, we'll see it's a big plant. And that can probably, I'm going to put them straight into this big pot because I know these are going to be big plants. So it really depends what pots you've got. If you've got a variety of different sizes of pots, that's fine. Just don't put a really small plant in a really big pot. So a plant in a pot like this, it's got nice fresh compost, and this compost has got all the nutrients, all the food that this plant needs until it's big enough or too big for this pot. So you don't need to feed them with anything, don't worry about anything like that. Once they go in the pots, the big pots in the hanging baskets, we're probably into June now, and they start flowering, then we can start thinking about feeding them. But don't worry about food just now. Just sunlight, heat, and water. That's the three important things. So I think that's all. If we've got any questions, then we're here to answer all of your questions if you have any. But good luck with your plugs. And yeah, look forward to seeing them growing and these hanging baskets in the summertime.